Hi guys and welcome to Steelers Fan TV. This is episode 7 of the weekly Vidcast, and today we're going to be talking about the possibility of scouts in the IHL and possibly what they could add to it and maybe what they could take away from it. So scouts as an overview of a scout, so it's someone who goes to a different country, to a different league to watch a player of a particular choice. Say an American scout came over and watched Kieran Brown, for example. We'll use it like a Liam Kirk example. Obviously, the team that want or are looking at the player would send someone over on a plane to come and watch the player in question. Now, obviously, that player would, if they performed on the day, they might be more inclined to sign them, and if they didn't, then they wouldn't. So there is an overall of that sort of them coming over. And it could also be they watch videos of them, they analyse their play, and they also sort of see what they're capable of, and possibly even give feedback to the coach on how what they think they could add to the team, and maybe what they couldn't. So, obviously, that's the sort of overview of a scout. Now, a scout's job is quite difficult, I would imagine, because there's quite a lot of travelling involved. There's quite a lot of sort of big sort of places to go to, sort of may not know the way around places and all that stuff. And obviously that would detract from the job position, and that would also sort of make them more expensive because they're sort of harder to find, and obviously they have to take time out of their lives to sort of write notes and make sure that they are sort of right for the coach. And obviously if they're going to write a good report, they've got to make sure that the player is right for the team. Now obviously the player is good enough, they would get into the team. If the player is not good enough, then they wouldn't. And that's sort of what a scout does. That's sort of the overview of a scout. Now, for the IHL, in recent years we have been bringing in players that maybe are sort of good enough for the league. Some of them maybe aren't. And obviously, a lot of British ice hockey sort of relies on elite prospects as a sort of a very big, sort of thing for British ice hockey is elite prospects, because it does show a player's stats, and it just those show their potential and sort of what they can add to games, sort of points per game average, and obviously their goal scoring, assisting stats, penalty minutes, plus minus, all the things that add to make a good hockey player. Now, but what elite prospects doesn't do is it doesn't take into account the player's positioning. So say a left defenseman is getting scouted, and the scout is just literally looking at elite prospects and sort of watching a few odd YouTube videos on the player. That might be a really sort of obscure, narrow view of the player. And obviously, if it is an obscure, narrow view, they're going to come in and they're going to be out of the depth. Now, the Panthers have recently signed a player who's played in the NHL quite a lot, and he's been called a elite prospect player. Now, what that means is he's got a good stat ratio on elite prospects, but he hasn't really delivered so far. I mean, the Panthers have lost 5 of their last, I think it is 5 games. They won on the Sunday night, but they didn't fail. They failed to win on either Saturday or Friday night. And it has been pointed out that this big player that's come in sort of hasn't really added to the side, and he could be viewed as sort of a elite prospect player, if you like. Now, obviously, that is something that's been rumoured. It's not really my opinion on it. And obviously, if it is true, they have had the sort of obscured view of the player based on elite prospects, possibly even a few contacts and possibly a few YouTube videos. Now, obviously, that is sort of bias in itself, because elite prospects doesn't show sort of what the player's capable of. Maybe sometimes this is like a scouting sentence for them, but the scouting sentence is normally positive to try and get the player a team, because that's what it's intended to do, sort of give a sort of brief overview, but it's normally edging towards the positive side of the player rather than the negative, because if it's a negative, then people are going to be put off by the player. Now, obviously, that's a bias in itself, and that would obscure sort of any manager's view or any coach's view from the elite league. So take it, Tom Barrasso was to look at someone from the NHL or like ex-NHL player, look at their stats, they're like, oh yeah, they've played in the NHL, they've played for big teams, they've got big point scorers, they've sort of got a lot of penalty minutes, so they might fight a lot. They get here, they don't score a goal, they don't fight, and they haven't realised that they've had 2 years off. You know, it's that sort of problem that could occur and also could hinder the progress of the player and also the management. And obviously, if it hinders the management and the progress of the player, then they're both not going to get along, and the player's ultimately going to go. I mean, we saw something similar with Andre Deville at the Steelers. He comes in, quite a good player, quite high profile, had a few off-ice issues in the warm-up as well for a team, ended up fighting with a player, slashing them, and obviously it tarnished his reputation, and he stopped really playing at such a high level. And obviously when he got to the Steelers, he was a bit of a flop, and then he didn't really play much since, and it sort of happens to players that if you sort of look at them on elite prospects, yeah, they might have that sort of air about them that they're actually going to be good, they're going to come in, they're going to add something, but when they get there, they're not actually that great. Now, obviously, that's, again, a personal opinion of mine that possibly is true about the league and is true about sort of how we get players into the league. Now, if it's not true, then obviously people can come and correct me, but it does seem that way with some of the standard that we have seen over the past few years, that possibly there isn't enough sort of I don't know, attention being paid to what the players actually like. So that'll get me on to the next bit of the video. Obviously, the narrowing of elite prospects doesn't help players that maybe come into the side, maybe sort of buzz around the league a little bit. It doesn't help them players due to the fact that people aren't going to see their true colours. Now, obviously, if you have a scout would be able to give you a full in-depth analysis of what a player is like and also sort of how they have performed over a number of games. Obviously, scouts do come with a cost. Now, it's whether or not elite league teams can sort of afford it. Well, there is a way, and I'll come on to that. But obviously, scouts, like, as I said at the start of the video, sort of go watch people and take notes, and then we'll report back. So what that would do, for example, for the Steelers, would, if Tom Barrasso sent a scout, a sort of scout, like a, not like a lead situation, but just to go and watch a player of a team and sort of bring back, sort of go and watch him in training, go and watch him in matches, you know, and bring back something. Now, would that be better off than just signing someone just like that, sort of click your fingers, yep, they're here, you know, let's get them? Would it help, really? It would, I think, in a way, because obviously if there is like an analysis of a player and there is obviously points about a player, then they would come in and possibly make an impact because of this sort of report. Now, obviously players do get involved quite a lot, so they're sort of similar to a scout in a way. I mean, with Tom Zanowski coming in from Zagreb and John Armstrong having quite close ties with him, having played with him for half a season, obviously Armstrong sort of fed back to the Steelers what he's like, and obviously David Sims got in contact with him and got him to the Steelers. Now, Tom Zanowski's actually come in and scored 1 point in 2 games, scored a goal. I think it's 1 point. But he has come in, made an impact, and that's sometimes a sort of look you need, sort of someone that you might, oh yeah, he's quite good, let's get him in, sort of thing. Now, if there's a scout and someone goes out and sees sort of, like, let's take sort of, like Dundee, for example, if Omar Pacha said to someone, oh yeah, go out and scout this player, I can guarantee that rather than just like sort of signing from reviews, from sort of reports online, from YouTube, if you have sort of a particular scout that you can send out and say to him like, oh yeah, can you go and watch this player for me or this player for me, I can guarantee that the standard of the league could improve. Will improve. Because if there is that sort of, yep, this player, have a look for this, then it'd be great for the league personally. But obviously the salary caps and also the money that goes into the clubs isn't quite substantial enough for that. Obviously, if it was up to the sort of money that went into the league, then we could see that, and we could see sort of an improvement in the way that the games are played. So obviously there is that, and that may result in the ticket prices going up. But for the sake of another quid, would people want to see a better standard of hockey, or £2? Sort of, it's same happened at Sheffield Wednesday. Obviously, my football team. The prices went up in tickets, but the standard of football got much higher a couple of seasons ago, and people were willing to come and watch it for the high prices. Now, I don't know if people would, as hockey fans. Obviously, I don't really have like much of a say in finance and stuff like that, because obviously I'm not other people, and obviously I only pay quite cheap tickets because I'm an adult on sort of a deal. Obviously 18 on Monday, so I'm now an adult and I pay adult prices. And obviously the Steelers with we'll go back to the Steelers now with the possibility of a scout, what that would add. So, obviously the Steelers may be able to pay for a scout. I don't know about that sort of if it would work with salary caps or if it would get paid directly. But the possibility of a scout could improve the standard of our team, and if it did, well, more the merrier. It'd be great. So I'm going to finish this video here, sort of on scouts and sort of how they might improve the league. I definitely want to hear what you guys think of this because I think it's quite an interesting discussion if a scout would improve the league, wouldn't improve the league. And personally, I hope that you have enjoyed this video because I have. I think this is one of the main ones I've enjoyed because it's sort of talking about something that could affect the league in a way. And I'd love to hear what people think about it. So have a think about it and obviously get in contact with me on Twitter or on here. And I'll see you for the preview for the weekend's games on Thursday. Okay, see you later, guys.